Well, welcome to the Be Seen, Be Loved TV show. I'm your host, Christie Love, and today I have a special friend, Kekua, here, who is from one of my favorite places on earth, Hawaii. Kekua Kabashigawa.
Pretty close,
Okay.
Kobashigawa.
Well, try saying that 3 times in a row. But yeah, she's from Hawaii. I love it, love it, love it. And I just want to go over her bio really quick, and then we will lead into her interview, and because she has a lot of great information to share. But Kekua is a best-selling author. She's also a speaker and a mom. It's probably her most favorite job. Kekua found at one point in her life that she was feeling lost. She was feeling lost and insignificant after experiencing betrayal and also abuse. But as she healed, she learned to break down her generational patterns and conditioning and build a new, strong relationship with herself. So in doing so, she became a powerful leader, and not only for others, but for herself. She founded HBIC Development for Women to nurture their inner leader and develop a deeply respected relationship with themselves. And of course, we want to know all about it. Kekua and I actually met in a group called 365 Driven, and it's an organization. I talk about organizations a lot. It's an organization that really helps and supports you in your endeavors as being an entrepreneur. And I can tell you that this organization has been my life support and filled with great, amazing people. If you want to check them out, definitely look for them online. They're on Facebook. But like I said, community is so important for your growth. And I've seen Kekua grow over these years. And that's why I invited her to be on the show, because I've seen the things that she's done to really develop not only her physical strength, but the physical strength that she's given and presented to other people, and has helped them so well within her and her message, and now her area of expertise. And so, Kekua, thank you so much for being on the show.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm just excited that you're here. Like you said, you went through a lot of, trials and tribulations and challenges through life. A lot of people think that, this entrepreneurship thing is simple. That, they see these people who are great leaders are out there and it's just easy for them. But sometimes it's not. Can you just share your story a little bit to just tell our viewer, like, where you came from and what have you gone through to get where you are now?
I would say the biggest factor in me becoming who I am right now is that I was in an abusive relationship. I didn't know that at the time. I had no experience with it before. I kind of knew that I was not so happy. I started to feel like I wasn't being treated very well, but I didn't understand the concepts and the cycles of abuse, which is very common to people who have kind of grown up in that, because that's just our normal conditioning. We don't necessarily know how to recognize it as abuse. And I had stumbled upon personal development. I didn't know anything about that either, but I was starting a company, that entrepreneurship angle. And like you said, people think it's really simple. And to be honest, the steps are fairly simple, but it's not easy. And if you want the businesses and anything that you create in life to succeed, the truth of the matter is that you kind of have to come back within, and you've got to develop yourself as a leader, as a business owner, as a parent, as whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So I had gotten into personal development, and through that education, I started to realize that the relationship I was in was abusive. It wasn't right. I shouldn't be treated this way. And I started to learn and understand the patterns of behavior that he had, and the ways and the whys behind him treating me that way. And there just kind of came a point where I was like, man, this is wrong. This is not the business. I can't stay here. And when I was healing out of that relationship, of course, I had personal development. I had a very beautiful, loving group of women, a small, and it doesn't take a lot, but a small, beautiful, loving group of women were there for me. And my healing made me realize that this is a very prevalent thing. I didn't know, because when you have abuse, it's kind of shameful. It's a very quiet, hush hush thing. You don't talk about it, but that silence is what allows it to perpetuate. So when I was trying to figure out, why was I able to break this cycle? Why am I able to do these things? And from what I'm learning, most women never do. Most women will stay in that cycle forever. I realized it was those two things. It was that I had found personal development, I had found my own personal education, and I had support around me that most people don't, because they're silent about it. So no one knows about it. And that whole don't talk about it thing just lets it happen and happen. And we pass it on to generation and generation. And that realization made me secondarily realize that if there is not a substantial amount of resource, easily accessible resource for women like this, that puts us at a disadvantage. This keeps us at that disadvantage. And because of personal development, I was also in a place at that point where I could not allow myself to be upset about it and not do something about it. So if I think that's a terrible sadness for women, and I think it's unjust, and I think it's not right, and I don't do anything about it, then I'm just contributing to the problem. I'm part of the cycle, and I'm perpetuating it as much as anybody else. And I couldn't allow myself to do that. So I realized that I had to become the resource that I needed, the resource that I had received, the resource that had changed my life. I needed to become that for other women if I wanted to see that status quo change.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, I know a lot of women do have a hard time breaking away from those type of relationships. And I've talked to so many, and it's just hard for them to make the move. It really is. They just can't seem to do it. Now, you talk about how you got into personal development. Now, did you read books? Did you go to seminars? How did you find out about personal development? What actual tools and methods did you use to kind of learn that, hey, this situation is not right. I want a better life for myself and for my children?
At the time when I decided to create that t-shirt company, I was, and I still technically am, in the fitness industry. So the clothing line I wanted to create was around my life as a meathead. And there's a woman that I follow. Her name's Dana Lynn Bailey. She's one of the best known bodybuilders out there. I'm not a bodybuilder myself, but I do admire the art. And she did a post one day that said, "I'm the Andy now." And I was like, "Who's this Andy?" And I'm racking my mind. I can't think of any bodybuilders named Andy. So I clicked through to find out who it is. And it's Andy Frisella. He's starting the MFCEO podcast. He was about 10 episodes in when I found it. And the purpose of that was to teach people, he had built his company, him and his partner had built it literally from nothing to now it's one of the biggest supplement companies in the world. And it was to teach different things about scaling and learning and how to run a business and how to start a business. So I was listening to that. And of course, like I said, there's no such thing as business development without personal development. So he also talked about the areas in his life and in himself where he had to grow to become proficient at business, to become successful. One of the episodes was talking about a former girlfriend and how he knew it wasn't going to work. And I'll leave the entire story out, but the detail that stuck out to me was he used this phrase that he realized she was an anchor. And if you have an anchor in your life, you have to drop the anchor and get a propeller, because if you are tied to an anchor, you're never going to go anywhere.
That's true.
And that was my first spark of realization that this relationship can't last. It's not going to go the distance. And from there, of course, I started to learn about his patterns of behavior and how wrong he was for me.
So basically, in order for someone to really break free, they have to get to a point where they understand that this person is not going to allow them to grow. It's not going to allow them to grow. Not that they can't grow with that person, but that person's going to hold them back and keep them stuck in that same position. And for someone who's always learning, always growing, always doing new things, I can't imagine what it would be like if someone was just holding me back and stopping me from my dreams and aspirations. But a lot of people live that way. And so you talk about, really being a powerful inner leader and also understanding the beauty or having a beautiful relationship within yourself. Now, how do you help someone to find the beauty within themselves?
You have to kind of unlearn the conditioning that we receive as women in this society. Not to infer that men don't also receive similar conditioning, but I speak to women. So the conditioning the women tend to receive in this society is not personal strength. It's not empowerment. It's not confidence. It's not beauty. It's very much competitive. You know, the stereotypes of pretty women are mean. All women are out to get you. That somebody will steal your man. Women are catty. All of those stereotypes are really designed to hold us back and keep us in servitude and keep us from growing and realizing that we have the ability to say no, to leave a situation that is negative, to even recognize that a situation is negative, because our conditioning tends to be deal with it, basically, be a martyr. You know, what can you tolerate? That's what we associate with strength, is how much abuse you can take, so to speak. And so my program, what is that you unlearn those things by learning, what is your power? What do you want in life? Where do you really stand right now? And let's push you just that little bit, because it's that little bit of momentum, because a lot of momentum becomes, holy cow, I can really do a lot of things. I am so much more powerful than I thought I was. And when you really see and believe and respect the person that you are in the inside, you start to see that beauty. You start to recognize everything that's fabulous about you. Once you start to see the little bits, those little bits grow. And before you know it, you feel as beautiful as the women that you look at, instead of feeling diminished by them, which is what we're kind of taught to do.
Ooh, love that. And, you know, in my own life, it took me years to really love myself. And it goes back to just really valuing yourself and feeling worthy. But like I said, it was about 20-year learning journey to really find Christie, right? To love spending time with Christie. And it took me really isolating myself for a couple of years to just be with me and learn and understand who I was and being comfortable in that environment. And for many people, that's probably what you have to do, is just find the time to be alone and find a time to learn who you are and love you and find the beauty within you, no matter what goes on, and be comfortable with other women, be comfortable with around men. You know, again, it takes experience to be able to do this, to be in a room full of men as a woman, as the only woman, maybe an only minority woman, even that, and be comfortable and have a great time with them. And for me, it took me many years of, you know, feeling insecure and anxiety around, you know, those types of environments and a conversation where I felt inferior, but it all surrounded by me not loving myself. And so spend time just doing that. And I love the fact, and I'm going to ask you to share 3 tips that you talk about how to overcome unhappiness, how to overcome overwhelm, and how to overcome feeling empty. Can you share 3 tips on how people can actually do that?
I would say the first one is that you've really got to, actually, I'm going to touch on what you just said, how you did a little bit of time in isolation with yourself. Mm-hmm. We really forget that, you know, if that was another person that you were trying to build a relationship with, you would understand it takes a little time. We've got to get to know each other. We got to spend time around each other. We've got to feel out each other's energy. You have to do the same thing with yourself. You have to give yourself time to really get familiar with who you are. For most of us, we've never done that. We've never understood we even could do that. So I would say that's going to be the top. Spend time with yourself and learn who you really are. Learn what it is that you want, what you love, what lights you up, so that you can start to bring that into your life. Because a lot of times, depression, of course, there's a medical depression that has to do with the levels of chemicals, your hormones, and all of that kind of stuff. But there's also a vast epidemic of depression that we just don't realize. We have nothing that lights us up in our life. If you have nothing that brings you joy, nothing that fulfills you, nothing that makes you feel like you have a purpose, what's going to be the product of that? You're gonna be depressed. What's the point of going through everyday life? You know, what's the point of doing this? What's it all for? There are so many people that are under that weight, and they think there's nothing they can do about it, but it's really, they've never learned how to give themselves joy. So that would be my first thing. Get to know who you are. Start bringing into your life things that make you happy, make you feel fulfilled and purposeful, and then start to create a plan for the future. Once you really know who you are, then you can sit and think about, what do you want in your life? What do you want your life to become? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to have a massive career? Do you want some combination thereof? Do you want to travel a lot? What are the things that you really, really want for your life? And then you can build towards having that. Put happiness in today and plan for how you're going to bring happiness and fulfillment through the rest of your life.
Ooh, I love it. And I just wanted to say one thing is that that's what life is all about. You know, being in a space, I want you to think about if you're going through a similar situation where you need this help in this area, like what would life be a lot like if you could decide to do the things that you loved and you enjoyed? I know for me, it's just a great feeling to say, hey, you know, I want to do this right now. And that lights me up. Today, I want to do this, or I'm going to do this for a fun moment for maybe 30 minutes. And then I'm going to choose something else that I love to do for fun. And it wasn't always like this. It wasn't always like this, but I want you to visualize and see how much better your life could be when you're in that space. And then find someone to help you to achieve that if you so desire, and if that's what you really want. But boy, it hurts my heart to see people just in a life that's stuck because someone else is taking control over them and not allowing them to just be who they truly are because of their own insecurities, right? And that's pretty much what it is their own insecurities, that they're trying to weigh someone else down. But, you know, there is hope and there is a life above and beyond this. And so I just ask you to seek that out, however that may be, whether it's a community or reading books or going to events or listening to podcasts or finding that person like you did, Kekua, who gave you that spark of inspiration and a little information that said, aha, you know, that's what I need in my life. And then that's when you took that step, or took the steps necessary to transform your life, and that you're helping other people as well, which I absolutely love. And so I want to ask you, what is lighting you up these days? What are you working on? You're always working on something. So I want to know, because I don't even know yet.
It's what you just said. It's working with women. That was in that process that I just described. That was what I found. That's what fulfills me. That's my purpose, is really to work with women and to do whatever it is that I can do to contribute to changing that status quo, to making women realize that they can rise up. Well, I mean, and I learned this from fitness, from watching people come into the gym and feeling really small, feeling super inferior, feeling like, you know, you could see it in their face. I don't belong here. I don't deserve to be here. You can see it in their body language. And from in fitness, when I would watch those people kind of develop, and they're just not uncomfortable. Then they're kind of comfortable. Then they feel like they belong. Then it's that progression. And one day you see the light just really turn on in their eyes. And I realized that I could do that same thing working with women one-on-one. Without fitness, I could help them get that place inside where the light comes on and they're in awe of themselves. And to watch that is wonderful, but then to actually get to be a part of it and be, you know, some of the impetus to make that happen, there's no greater honor than that.
Absolutely. And you really embody strength. And, you know, I've said this before, it's not only, you know, your message and what you teach, but your whole physique and it takes a lot. And just come from one prior meathead to a current meathead. But I understand what you're talking about. You know, you get familiar, you get strong, you get more confident, you know, and you start lifting big weights, and you can do that also in your life. And so I love how you create the synergy between both, you know, your life and also your fitness and your nutrition level. All those things go hand in hand, because when you feel good about yourself internally, right, and you feel strong within yourself, that's when you gain the confidence to really step outside of this place that you are in right now and really start making changes. Now, where can everyone find you?
My website is just my name, Kekua, Kekuak. All my social links are there. You can request an appointment if you want to chat about if mentorship is right for you, if you want to just check out the book, which is on Amazon. It's available print, Kindle, and Audible. All of those links are there, and you can reach me there.
That's your website, correct?
Yeah.
Super, super. Well, I just thank you so much for being on the show today, Kekua. It's always a pleasure, and just understanding like more about what you do and how you serve and help so many people, and with your, your strength and your abilities. And it's leading over to your children, right? How are the kids?
Oh my gosh, I work with so many women who are moms, and what they don't realize, and what I didn't realize, is that when you do this work for yourself, because children learn what we model, you really start to model differently, and you see things in your children that when you were that age, you didn't know it was possible. As a mom, there's just nothing better than seeing that, because we always want better for our children than what we had, right?
Oh,
I want to give you a better example than what I had, and you do that without even realizing it, because they watch that process. That there's nothing that makes me more proud of myself than the relationship that I get to have with my kids, because I wasn't always a great mom. Like, of course I thought I was okay, but when I really developed, and then that relationship with each one of them changed, and the dynamic in our family changed, and I watched them become capable, I mean, it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Wow, I look forward to continuing to see them grow and all the experiences that they're having right now, and seeing them grow to be just better and amazing adults. And so thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you.
Are you a professional struggling to speak confidently in front of others? Do you have trouble giving presentations or leading teams? Are you finding it difficult to sell to clients? At Be Seen Beloved, we understand the challenges you face. That's why we're here to help. With our expert guidance and training, you'll gain the confidence you need to excel in your business and career. Whether you're looking to lead groups, speak to larger audiences, or train people in your corporation, we can help. Our unique approach will not only improve your business connections and increase your income, but it will also lead to a happier and more fulfilled life. So why wait? Take the first step towards success and visit us at www.beseenbeloved.com today.